This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Welcome to the RuPaul's Drag Race Recap Show for Season 17, Episode 10, titled The Villain's Roast. My name is Joe Batanz, and I am joined, as always, by one contemptuous co-host from the podcast, Bravo, Bravo, effing Bravo. Please say...
At the end of the day, all you can do is stab your friend in the back.
To Mr. Nathan Patrick Brown. Hello, Nathan.
Hey, Joe. How are you?
I got to tell you guys something. So I have a script that I read from. I don't know if you could tell. And I wrote this script just like not even thinking. Because, you know, our producer, Luke Stamen, gives me an outline. And I go from the outline, blah, 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 and some memory. And all kinds of stuff I play, right? It just comes out of me. I wrote from the podcast, Pod is my co-pilot.
Oh.
What does that mean?
I'd love to do
like
a guest
a weird...
spot.
Freudian, they never have any guest spots. What a weird Freudian slip there. People don't know it's the co-host Taylor the Latte Boys podcast is called Pod is my co-pilot. And yeah. So that was a little interesting slip of the brain there. Nathan Patrick Brown, how are you? I'm
good. I think this is like the first time all year I've been excited to talk about this show. And while I was watching the episode, I was like, oh my God, things to talk about. Fuck yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are you just feeling jazzed? I'm feeling jazzed.
Well, like I've said on other shows, I won't say excited. I'm like, oh, there's shit to talk about this week. Because I will say, usually at this point in the show, there isn't really anything to talk about. So the fact that there's something to talk about, I'm like, oh, that's fun. But like,
yeah.
In terms of, she's like, yeah, we're going to talk about it. Cut to tomorrow on Alaska Thoughts. I'm like, I've been waiting all week to talk to you, to Robert. I'm like, oh my God, Robert, so much stuff to talk about. I couldn't wait. I've been chomping at the bit to discuss this show with you.
And he'll be like, oh, it was boring.
By the way, Nathan and I talked about my comment on Alaska Thoughts last week.
Oh, yeah.
Where I said that I made a joke about Nathan being, what did I say?
Oh, we don't need to repeat it.
Well, now we're going to discuss this moment on Alaska Thoughts.
Fine.
Well, if you don't know what we're talking about, you're going to want to listen to A, Alaska Thoughts, and B, Just Between Us Girls. Well, like, what a weird way time works. Is that like, we record Just Between Us Girls as we chat just before we record the episode. And in that short few seconds, like this, where I go like, okay, well, bring back my girls. And then I press record on the show. You've done a whole weekend of performances of your musical, Hello, Dolly.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a very exciting time. But if you want to hear Nathan tell stories about Hello, Dolly, I go on a long rant about the musical review Old Friends and things that happened to me there, all kinds of fun stuff. You're going to want to go to a few places. Look, hear me out. Apple Podcasts. If you just scroll up to the main title, you can subscribe to this show. I think it's $6. Let me tell you what you get. Not only do you get Just Between Us Girls, because you might be thinking like, well, there's this show. We only get like part of the show. No. If you subscribe to Just Between Us Girls, to the Apple Premium membership, you get the entire show uncut the same day that the Patreon people do. Nathan, you're laughing. I think there's people who don't like Patreon because I used to say my Apple Podcast subscriptions were like beer money. Look, it's still not a ton of money, but it like more than doubled over the past month. Once people realized they could get the full show the same day as Patreon for like $6 or $7 a month. It's crazy. Yeah. So go over to patreon.com/. No. We'll go to Patreon in a second. Patreon, download the Patreon app or go to patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. I'm going to tell you something. Exciting things going on there. One, I'm releasing free content right now 2 times a week. One of those things being kind of older episodes of this season of recap, maybe like 2 weeks old. So this week you'll probably be getting like, I don't know, whatever 2 weeks ago was. And then episode 8. And then we're also releasing stuff from our archive for free. And you don't have to pay anything. All you have to do is either just visit the Afterthought Media page at Patreon and the content's there, or follow us there for free, just as a follower, and you're going to get all this free content. And pretty soon, it's not there yet, it's going to be really worth your fucking while, because there's going to be our entire free catalog there, which is going to be, I'm not even joking, 1,000 shows. And I'm not even being funny. I'm not like 1,000. No, like 1,000 shows for free will be at your disposal at patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. That part's coming later. We're waiting on Patreon to do some stuff there. But yes, lots of big things happening over there. And then, like I said, you can also join you can get J-Bug, you can throw a few bones, support the show, get some money. People have been writing to me, Nathan. Do you know someone wrote to me today? I want to read this because I never get anything like this. I never get anything.
Oh, is it a compliment?
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. A compliment. I never get a fucking compliment, right? Look, listen to this message I got on Patreon. I'm going to read the whole fucking thing, too. Okay. Well, most of it. There's a part I'm not going to read. Hi, Joe. This guy named Evan, and it's not Evan Ayers.
Is he a twink?
I don't know. I can't tell. Let me look here. Let me see.
Did he have a little image you could zoom in on?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to try and do. You know what? He might be a twink. Let me show you right here. I zoomed in. Yep. Cut to a person on the block in a little bit.
Ding, ding, ding. We got a twink. Hello.
The future blocked Patreon member, Evan.
We're going to hear a lot about this guy in the future.
Yeah. He's going to be telling what shows get canceled. And then, J. Thomas Plank and Luke and all of them are going to hate them. But then strangely, Tom Bombs will defend him. And then it'll be a whole thing. All right. Hi, Joe. I hope you're doing very well. First, I wanted to reach out to echo what others are saying, that the show is at its best. People have been saying this. I'm loving all of the small and large changes. I have been listening since 2018. God, or at least I think so. And I have been on Patreon. I've been a Patreon since 2020. The show has gone through lots of changes, and I'm loving it more than ever now. I love supporting you and the other afterthoughts. And then he goes on to say about some other things too. But he does say that I'm his hero.
What?
Yeah.
How so?
He just says I'm his hero. I don't want to get to the second half of this.
Wait, you're the wind beneath his wings?
Nathan, I just not going to get to the second half of this. That's all I'm going to say.
All right.
All right. So, but it was very flattering.
Well, that's
email.
nice. That's good to hear.
Very, very nice. Now, look, I will say, I was going to save this for later, but I might as well say this now, because we might have the sweet and the salty.
Oh.
I did get a critical, but I'm going to say very constructive criticism from a person who's very upset with Mr. Blackstone. And does not like
that's fair enough.
Yeah. He thinks Mr. Blackstone has gone too far. Mm-hmm. I will say this guy's German. It's not Carlo. We have a lot of Germans listeners, believe it or not.
Cool.
Not German. This guy's German. And I'm like, if you offend a German about race, you've gone too far.
I think I would have thought Germans are more sensitive to that sort of thing.
They are very sensitive, actually. I do know. I was being funny right there, but you're right. Do you know that okay, let me tell you a story.
Yeah.
So there was a time when this I don't need to do this anymore, but before I could give gift subscriptions like you have. Actually, Carlo doesn't even have a gift subscription, but I did have a little thing where if there were shows I wanted him to hear, I could give it to him, right? And so I made a little secret podcast for him that was only for him. And I thought it would be very funny to put a play on things, right? And so I put a picture of a lamp. Now, according to Google Translate, this word that I'm going to tell you meant lamp. He told me it does not mean lamp, but whatever. I called the podcast Little Pirate Mein Lampf. Okay?
Oh, that's not.
Yeah. In the sense that... and I got an angry... And this is like giving him something. I got an angry message from him that he would not listen to this and because he could not have it open. He understood that I think this is funny. They don't think it's funny in Germany. Mm-hmm. And I did say, look, here in the U.S., even with the Jews, I've seen interviews with Mel Brooks about this stuff. I'll do the Mel Brooks thing first. They were talking to Mel Brooks about how he loves to fucking make fun of Nazis and bring up Jews. And he was saying that the most insulting thing you could do to Hitler or the Nazis is to laugh at them. That would be the worst thing to be laughed at. So we think that stuff is hilarious. At least I do. Right? Mm-hmm. So I changed it. I called it Carlo Carnival, which was the most boring picture of headphones and called it Carlo Carnival. And he was very happy with it. Now, he doesn't need to have that anymore. It doesn't exist anymore. But Carlo Carnival is what it was called. But I had to change it. But anyway, the Germans are very sensitive about it. You're right.
But Mr. Blackstone, did he send in for this week?
I spoke to Mr. Blackstone. And we'll see what he did this week. I haven't listened. I don't have time.
But you told him to dial it down.
I told him, I go, listen, you got the Germans upset. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Mr. Blackstone did tell me to tell this German guy that his grandfather, his great uncle, died in a concentration camp. And at first I was like, oh my God. But then he said he fell off the guard tower. And I said, listen, this is not a place for jokes like that. Okay.
I hope he was joking.
I don't know. Yeah, you're right. You know what? I'm not sure he was joking. Now that you say that, you're right.
Cool.
He did say that his original name was Schwarzstein. I don't know what that means, right? But that they changed it when they moved to the U.S. But anyway.
Right, so that person who wrote in to complain is going to be thrilled with how this episode's going.
Yeah, because I asked Mr. Black. I'm very sensitive to Jewish people.
Yeah.
So I asked Mr. Blackstone, and all race. By the way, I think Blackstone's made like one Jew joke or something like that, right? The black people have been really getting it. You know what? Here's the funny thing, Nathan.
Hmm?
I've gotten nothing from any black people or Latinos or anything. They get it the fucking worst. It's the Germans that are upset for everybody. The last thing you want to do is get Germany upset.
Mm-hmm.
Last time they invaded Poland.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, on that note, why don't we take a break? Okay. Oh, no, we don't take a break here. Yeah, we do take a break.
Should we do takeaway? Yeah, take a break.
No, we do that after. Okay. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to actually talk about the episode. I told you I wanted to save the Blackstone stuff. Yeah, for later. All right, here we go. Where is it? No. Oh.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for this day.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
And we are back. Nathan got mad at me during the break and was like, I love how I said I'm so excited to talk about this episode. And then you talked about 15 minutes about Germany. I think that's a good point. Yeah. All right, here we go. This week, Michelle takes her turn at dunking the queens into the badonkadunk tank. I ran out of breath. Later, the girls participate in the first ever villains roast. How sad is it when I run out of breath while reading one sentence? Later on the runway, the category is Who Wears Short Shorts? On the main stage, Lydia B. Collins is named the winner of the challenge, while Arietti and Jules Sparkles are in the bottom two, forcing them to face off in a lip-sync battle for their lives. In the end, Jules was told, Shantae, you stay, while Arietti was asked to sashay away. Nathan Patrick Brown, what did you think of that lip sync, and did the right queen go home? And you know there's a follow-up, but let's answer that first.
Well, with the lip sync, I don't think Jules should have been in that lip sync. I think Lexi should have been in the bottom, but I'm glad Jules was, so that she could send Arietti home. That felt really good for me as a viewer. And I thought, yeah, the lip sync was fine. Jules could have lost a wig, taken off her shoes. She could have fallen over, and I still would have been like, she won that shit, because I was just so ready for Arietti to go home. And so, yeah, the right queen went home. Good riddance.
Oh, you're very upset with this Arietti.
I hate her guts, Joe.
You hate her guts.
Yeah, I'm falling victim to the TV edit. However they want me to feel, I am feeling that way.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. The lip sync. I'm going to talk about the lip sync right here. You know, I like to conserve all my opinions, and you know, I'm one of those people that I don't mix all the courses together. I have I'll mix a vegetable and a starch.
You got to.
Yeah, like have mashed potatoes with like corn, but I'm not going to have. I like to keep them separate for the most part. Okay. Anyway, I don't like them touching. Is what Aiden said when I tried to hold his hand.
Oh.
But in this case, it's going to hold true. I'm going to save my Ariadne opinions for later. What I will say about the lip sync, was it the greatest lip sync ever? But it was one of the better ones that we've had this season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they haven't been the greatest lip syncers. And so it was one of the better ones we have had this season. But yes, Jules won. And ultimately, the right queen did go home for reasons that we'll discuss later. Now, let's get to the next question. What was your big takeaway this episode?
Yeah, my takeaway's got to be about Lexi and Arietti. Like, it's hard for me not to address that. And I will just say they are the biggest insecure losers I've ever seen. I think Arietti struggled.
Have you ever seen Lori?
I don't know if she's insecure.
Oh, okay. But you agree she's a loser. Okay, go ahead.
Sure. Arietti sort of, her logic sort of made sense, but she took it way too far. Whereas Lexi was just flopping like a little fucking fish just because of her own insecurities, and she always needs to have something to blame her poor performance on. There's always got to be that big insecurity. She's got to have an inner saboteur because she's her own fucking outer saboteur as well, but she needs that excuse. And there's just this like lack of empathy or the ability to see other perspectives other than her own that just is such a fucking turn off for me. And I'm sick of that rainbow wig that she's wearing, and I just want it gone. I'm done.
That's your big takeaway, her rainbow wig?
I'm pretty sick of it.
I'm going to sing a song I didn't write. The song is my big takeaway. I never thought the leopards would eat my face. I never thought the leopards would eat my face. I never thought the leopards would eat my face. The song goes on, but it's the same line.
What do you say? Is that Bob Dylan?
Are you aware of that song? Okay. It comes from, again, as most Joe Bataan things start, let's go way back in the time machine. Years ago, it might even be during the first Trump administration, there was a tweet that went viral from a woman. And the tweet was in reference to Republicans, to supporters of Trump, when they finally fuck around and find out, and then he does something shitty to them. Okay. And it was a fake quote that she had. And it's a quote, and it's like, I never thought the leopards would eat my face, end quote. Says woman who, or says voter who voted for the leopards will eat your face party.
Right.
Okay. Since then, a creator has taken that quote and made it into a song that has also gone viral on its own. And they usually play it along with any Republican, or I'm saying Republican, but any MAGA supporter who fucks around, finds out, and they get fucked over by Donald Trump. Okay.
Right.
And the reason I'm singing that here is Jules has made a very sympathetic edit for herself, and she wasn't one of she was actually very quiet this season, but she was in that cool Mean Girl group, and it's one of these things where then the Mean Girls that we've found are Lexi and Arietti. They have been the whole time, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of these teen movies, there's really just one or two Regina Georges, and then the rest are just kind of followers. And I think that was the case here. Lexi and Arietti are and were Mean Girls. Mm-hmm. Okay? And then they happen to choose people like Jules and other people to be Crystal Envy. Is that what her name was? To be in their little group. And they felt protected in this little clique. Mm-hmm. But at a certain point, what Jules found out was, if you don't give them their way, as idiotic as it may be, and you kind of touched on this, in that everyone's talking about Arietti because she went home and she threw the biggest fit, But there's at least a somewhat line of logic in Arietti's anger. It's unjustified and unwarranted, but there's a logic that you can understand. Lexi's logic makes no fucking sense. And again, I don't want to get into things that we'll get into obviously later. But Lexi's line of logic makes no fucking sense. She's just being mean. Now, obviously, it comes from insecurity. All meanness does. Because she feels badly. She is angry, right? And what's funny is I know somebody, and I did think this when I was watching the show, and there's somebody who's my mother, who they think, and this is, because I don't know about Lexi's story, but my mom has not done 1 hour of therapy. So my mom is under the belief that if you acknowledge your insecurity, if you're aware of it, or you acknowledge your awareness of it, of some sort of insecurity or something you have, well, the acknowledgement is enough for then everybody to acquiesce. So, for instance, let's say my mom wants her way. She will say to me, Joey, don't you understand? I have control issues. And I go, okay. And that's her way of justifying, I should do what she wants because she has control issues. Like, no, that's for you to deal with and realize you have control issues and therefore shouldn't. And it's the same thing with this. Lexi, and again, I hope we get into this more, is because again, I watched these episodes twice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you pick up little clues, little red flags that happen along when you watch it a second time. And after the elimination from last week, you know, there's a little bit of an apology session going on after the thing. And Lexi says, oh, you know, I'm sorry. I have this inner saboteur. And this inner saboteur kept coming up throughout the episode. I'm like, bitch, if you have the inner saboteur, it means you, and RuPaul said this many times, I think she might even said this episode, you have to tell the inner saboteur, shut the fuck up, you're wrong. So it's actually even more egregious. It's more egregious that you're aware of it and you're expecting other people to adapt their behavior and their choices and bend to your will because you have this. And oh no, you don't understand. You don't understand, Jules. I should get my way because I have an inner saboteur. Well, that's your fucking problem, Lexi.
It doesn't excuse you for being a cunt. Especially,
I don't want to get into this now. I want to get to when it's appropriate. When Jules gave her exactly what she fucking asked for. Like I said, Arietti had a logic that made sense.
Yes.
And actually, if Arietti would have handled it in a more adult way, it could have been easily solved. I think the problem with Arietti was how she handled it. You know?
Totally.
But we'll get into that when we get into that. But so my big takeaway is, now look, I still feel sorry for Jules Sparkle. She never did anything super egregious. She was never mean to people during this. But she did find out when you align yourself, when you associate with you, when you join Team Mean Girls, there is going to be a point where they are going to turn on you. People talk about this on Trump. If you attach yourself to Trump, the second, anytime he's in trouble, he will throw anyone under the fucking bus. He doesn't fucking care. And it's the same thing with this Arietti and Lexi. When you have that much trauma and childhood pain and whatever they have issues that they need to work the fuck out, you're going to throw everyone under the bus rather than take your own personal responsibility.
But I didn't think Jules was a mean girl. I can't actually remember what she has done.
Jules on episode 1 said, this is the chismosa corner. We're going to sit here and talk shit on everybody in this corner. Now, she didn't really look.
All right,
like I said, she's always been very nice.
Yeah.
Like I said before, you know, I had a friend named Jonathan who was very, very nice. Okay? Very, very nice. When he was, before things happened to him, he was a very, very sweet, sweet person. Right? And there are, believe it or not, mean people, terrible people often have very nice friends. And Christian.
Leah Michelle and Jonathan Groff.
Huh? Exactly. And he said Leah Michelle and Jonathan Groff because I was talking over him. And what happens is these nice people are so nice that they're willing to look past the obvious flaws and red flags of these mean people. And since these mean people aren't used to people sticking around, they attach themselves to these nice people. It's a weird relationship, right? But ultimately, the mean person will throw you under the bus. The mean person, because they have so much damage, you know?
Yeah.
That they will throw you under the bus. It was a matter of time. You know? It was just a matter of time. Thank you. And Arietti isn't even from the Netherlands.
Oh.
All right. On that note, speaking of the Netherlands, this is where he has to go to the Untucked Lounge. All right. After Corey's elimination, the girls gather to get out of drag after the latest episode. Lydia bids farewell to her boyfriend. Lexi apologizes for her inner saboteur. Meanwhile, the girls engage in some playful banter before calling it a day. The next day, Michelle Visage enters the workroom to announce the return of the Badonkadunk tank. One by one, the queens are dropped into the tank after a fake series of questions. Later, Michelle Visage announced this week's Maxi Challenge. It's the Villains Roast. The girls will roast former contestants Mistress Isabel Brooks, Candy Muse, and Plain Jane. As the winner of the last challenge, Jules Sparkles earned the right to design the set list for the night. Okay, Nathan Patrick Brown. Let's talk about after this elimination. What were your thoughts here?
Well, you sort of touched on this, but yeah, you can sort of tell that Lexi was already fucking pissed off at Jules because Jules won the challenge. Like, this is where it all began before there was a set list. Mm-hmm. And Lexi was also talking about, like, you know, I won the talent show and I haven't won anything since. I don't think the talent show should count because she was only up against half of the queens and it was Raider Queen. Like, Rue hasn't given you a win, so, like, calm down.
Good point. Mm-hmm.
Susie also calls the lip sync between Corey and Lydia a Shakespearean tragedy. And it's like, okay, that's a bit much.
I don't know.
No one died.
Susie, shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up, Susie. And Lydia, I think, is just getting more and more interesting every week. Like, I thought she was boring as all hell the first few weeks, but now she's got a bit more spunk. Like, I don't know if she's always had that spunk and I'm just noticing it, but like when Sam was like, oh, who should be in the bottom? She was like, you. I was like, okay, that was fun to watch. So I'm happy to see Lydia coming out of her shell and being interesting.
You kind of really hit my points on this. I mean, we could see you start to see Lexi falling apart in front of our eyes. It's been a slow dissolve, if you will, because we saw this early on, you know, in that do you remember the whole weird thing where she forced this weird conversation and talked about how she was like homeless and stuff like you have to understand something. How do I put this? If you take a look at Lexi's life and everything she's revealed about herself, you can tell. I mean, just put all those things together. Yes, bravo for having survived all that you survived, but it would be very difficult to go through what she's gone through and not come out and to come out unscathed. You're going to be damaged. There's going to be damage, you know? And that's why I focused on during the first part about these are damaged people. Arietti is a damaged person. I don't know what her fucking story is. She's not the one where the dad blew his hand off at the fireworks.
No, she was bulimic.
Well, okay.
Well, that's something.
I saw her. I mean, okay. Well, I mean, if she says she is, she was. Okay, yeah. But what does that? You know what, Nathan? Here's what I will say. She believes she was bulimic, and I'm going to believe her, right? And a person, if you remember, she didn't say, "Oh, and I went to therapy and dealt with my issues." She didn't say any of that. She said, "Oh, I started doing drag, and that's how I got over my bulimia." And again, that is a big fucking red flag that this person has not confronted their demons. And I mentioned this on the podcast at the time. It's like being a dry drunk. Just because you stop drinking, if you don't confront those issues, either through therapy or a 12-step, you're just a person who hasn't had a drop. You're still an alcoholic. You're always an alcoholic. But you know what I mean is you haven't confronted the issues that made you an alcoholic. And if you were bulimic and you didn't go through therapy or some sort of mental health, fucking read a book. I don't know, whatever, right? That you're saying because you put on pads and drag that now you're cured of your bulimia. Mama, I have to tell you this, it's still there. It's just latent. You're in bulimia remission. Okay? And one day, and excuse the metaphor, you're going to vomit it all out. It's going to come back up.
It's a bit on the nose, Joe.
Well, yeah, vomit gets everywhere. Your nose, your clothes, the toilet, everywhere. Okay? So the point is you have to deal, and the same thing with Lexi. She's on the fucking streets and living in places with no water and electricity, and at a really young age, girl, that sticks with you.
Well, and she talks about like doing meth a lot, and I'm like, I believe it.
Oh, you know what I mean to talk to you about?
What?
You know who she should have fucking done for Snatch Game?
Who? I
saw this person. I go, oh, she looks like Lexi Love. This Countess Luann.
Yeah. Yeah, strangely, the voice would have been similar to Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah. Yeah, would have been similar to Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah, should I money can't buy your class. Jesus Christ.
Did I ever tell you when I was putting on that, I've talked about this in another episode, when I put on that election thing and for the 2020 election?
Oh, yeah.
And I talked about this on the show before, and we had, it was a big organization that I was working with, and they had a pretty good budget to pay performers. And we were toying with the idea of hiring Katya and Trixie. We were going to offer them a lot of money.
Yes.
And Trixie had a commitment. She had a conflict, so that was fine. Katya was just like, no, don't even get me started on that one fucking shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, guys, when you're saying, well, she has the right to say no, it was during COVID, and there were drag queens who were making $0, and it was an enormous amount of money. And she was in town, and all she had to do was like literally 20 seconds of 20. Okay, let's be real. 20 minutes of work and not perform. Anyway, don't get me started on that.
Yeah.
But when I was talking to the manager and they had said no, he did say, well, I also represent the Countess Luann, and she would do it.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, I don't know who that is.
Joe, big mistake. Huge.
Which I feel you would have even flown out here.
It's my dream to go to one of her cabarets.
She was in LA at the time. And they go, oh, yeah, she'll do it. And I remember Jay was like, oh, you should totally do it. And I'm like, I don't even know who that is. I know who she is now. Would you? Would that have worth a flight for you?
You can get a flight on like just some points. I would have used points to get a flight
to hang
over there
with
for
Luann,
sure.
Countess Luann for the night.
Oh my God, I would have been there in a heartbeat. Yes.
All right. So anyway, they're damaged people. Okay.
Yeah.
And look, when you do these competitions, especially for television, this veneer of strength that you have in your public facing life, it gets really torn apart. I've talked about this before, and I wasn't even in anything nearly as stressful as this. I've said that, like, I fell apart during the Spotify thing I was in,
Mm-hmm.
I ended up winning still, but
hello,
I still fell apart emotionally several times. All right.
Yeah.
So,
but
anyway, yeah.
There's psych evals, right, to be able to get on this show. Like, I know at least for like Australian reality TV, like if you have that many issues, chances are you're not going to get cast, even though they would of course want you to be cast because they love that. Like, what's the loophole? How are they getting on?
I feel the psych evals are just to make sure you won't kill yourself. I don't think they care about anything else. They just care about their own personal liability. Let's talk about this. I'm not going to call it a mini challenge, but the next day when they did the Badonkadunk tank, did you have any? I literally had 0 notes. I have nothing on this. Did you have anything?
Well, it was really weird. Like, it was fun, I guess, but pointless. I sort of feel like Rue just wanted to sleep in because we didn't see Rue until the main stage. Yeah. Like, did she have appointments that day or something? Like, is that why we did this?
I mean, I don't know. It wasn't in the production schedule team or anything like that, but I imagine they were like, look, we're going to have RuPaul we're going to have Michelle do the Badonkadunk tank. Why not just have her just do the whole thing? I don't know. I don't know what the logic was there. Maybe she had something going on, but maybe she had to go check her fracking or whatever. But I will say, they did this thing because they wanted to dunk everybody. I feel like I wish there would have been a little bit more stakes. Like, ask them a hard question or something like that, or like give them a chance to actually do it.
Yeah, and I did not give a fuck about that Entertainment Weekly writer. Like, I didn't need to see him get dunked. I'm not going to go read his interview with Michelle Visage. That was a bit lame.
I'm not going to even comment.
Okay.
He was, Luke put it in the notes like he's supposed to. He didn't do anything wrong. And when I was writing the script, I was like, do I even mention him? And I was like, no. Because you know what it is? World of Wonder has a relationship with Entertainment Weekly. Fine, great. These media outlets always have this shit. But I've seen his stuff before. And he's just such a fucking sycophant of these fucking drag queens. And I'm like, I mean, look, what is he supposed to do? Like, be the fucking Watergate hearings all of a sudden? But like, you're not important. He's doing his job, and I guess he's doing it well enough or whatever. But I'm just not interested.
I don't get why they had to be like, where did he go? And then all of a sudden he's magically on the dunk tank and all the queens are like, how'd you get there? I was like, who is this man? Who is this man on set? Get rid of him.
I don't know. It's not even worth my time. All right, let's move on here. In the workroom, Jules polls each of the queens to name their desired position in the lineup. When she returns, the lineup is as follows. I have it right here. I also wrote down somewhere. Where did I write it down? What they wanted. Maybe I wrote it in my notes or something.
I know Lexi asked for first place.
Yeah,
and that's all she said
place.
First place. Sorry, last place. Yeah, that's all she said as far as we know. And it was the people after her that said, not behind Susie, not behind Susie. She didn't say that. As far as
here
know.
we go. So here's the
and
order.
Arietti wanted fourth.
Here's the order. Anya, Arietti, Jules, Lana, Sam, Lydia, Susie, Lexi. I wrote down somewhere. I don't know where the fuck I wrote this. I wrote down the order they wanted because I was like, let's see how closely she actually hewed to this. I don't know what I did with it though, so I don't know. Did I write it in my note? Let me look at my notes app.
Well, she didn't. I mean, I think it was fair-ish, like as fair as this could ever be. But like, I think Susie wanted to go last, so she didn't get what she wanted. Mm-hmm. I think one of the few people that did get what they wanted was Lexi.
Lexi, I wrote it somewhere. I don't know where I wrote it. It exists somewhere that I'll find at some point. Lexi did get what she wanted. For the most part, I saw she did a fair job of giving people what they wanted, you know? Already said she did want to go, but she wasn't even like a firm fourth. She was like, I don't know, it's just somewhere not in the beginning, not in the end, like fourth, you know? And I will say in Arietti's defense, because Arietti acts so awfully and she's honest about it, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to assume she's honest, right? Is she does say that it's not the placement that hurt her, and we'll talk about this, as much as it is that Jules placed herself immediately after and what that said about Jules' opinion about Arietti's performance.
Yeah, but Jules saw RDR live. Jules saw that fucking Snatch Game baby.
I'm just talking about that there is a logic. I'm not going to agree with it.
But there's logic for Jules to put herself after Arietti. Like, of course, that's a genius move.
Yeah, look, I would totally throw Lori under the bus. So anyway, okay, so we read the outline as it was. I don't know why. I don't know what I did with that. But anyway, after the lineup is read aloud, Lexi and Arietti seem annoyed. I don't think they've confronted Jules yet. So your thoughts on this workroom?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it got really interesting all of a sudden. It gets. I think Arietti had only mentioned in like confessional at this point that she would never do what Jules had done. Yeah. Which, I mean, I don't know about that. Like, there's no way for her to prove that that's correct or not. But whatever.
But this is what happens when you don't talk to people. Is I really feel that this was a conversation, and as we saw on Untucked, as much as they could do in the few minutes they had before they went on stage, they did have a somewhat productive conversation. You know? Arietti and Jules I'm talking about. But this could have, if Arietti would have been upfront with her feelings in the beginning, pulled her aside in the beginning and said, listen, this is how I'm feeling. It takes a maturity, though, that she doesn't have. I'm feeling this type of way. This is what it comes off to me. Because like I said, Ariadne wasn't necessarily mad about the position. It was Jules' position behind her and what that said. And I get the logic of that. But what I'm saying is that's a conversation that they could have had early on and Ariadne would have felt better, I think.
You'd think. And it seems like because Ariadne was immediately pressed, like Lexi took that as permission for her to then be like, oh, I'm equally as mad. And she was like getting super vocal about it. And it's like, Lexi, what the fuck?
Is ridiculous. Lexi is so out of control ridiculous. She said, I want to be last. Okay, look, let me give you guys a better example of how delusional this Lexi Love is. Every time there is a performance challenge, RDR Live, Snatch Game, the roast, anything, she gets so fucking excited. And she's like, this is what I've been waiting for. This is what I'm known for. This is what I'm excited for. Now they're going to really see that I'm the total package. And then she goes out there and sucks so hard every single time, you know? And she has this delusion that she's super fucking hilarious and great at performing challenges when she's terrible. She's terrible, right? And you know, let me talk about this now. We'll talk about it. I would have talked about this in the roast, but I'll talk about it now because it might as well because it's about the lineup. So people who listen for a long time will know that I've talked for years about how when you're doing a roast, this is where they hand it on you, the fucking gift on the silver platter. You want to be as early as possible. That's the dumb thing. Is it's opposite from our stand-up comedy lineup. And let me tell you the logic of your standard stand-up comedy lineup. There's a logic behind it. Is you have these sober people in a comedy club when the show starts. So the further you get in the comedy show, the more liquored up and comfortable and excited they are. So that by the time you get to the headliner, who's the last guy and has worked his way to that spot, or her way, the audience is warmed up. That's why that's the warm-up comic, you know? And so that's why you have that lineup. In a row, but every comic, in fact, they don't even a stand-up comic, like the headliner, often a big headliner especially, gets to choose who comes before him. Okay. There's typically 3 spots. It could be 4 though, but you have the host, and the host will do 5 to 10 minutes up front. He has the hardest job, right? Then he's going to bring on the opener, and it'll be a guy, maybe like a local guy. He gets like 5-10 minutes. Okay. Then you're going to have the middle. Okay. And that guy almost all the time is like a friend of the headliner. Okay. Like the headliner usually brings his own middle, because the headliner, the middle is very important. He doesn't want someone who's, and when I say he, I mean everybody. Okay. He and she, they don't want someone who's too similar in their style. They want someone who's funny, very funny, but not like them. So they'll bring someone who's a little different, not going to do their stuff. Then the headliner comes out and does his 45 minutes, right? The middle usually gets like 20. Middle gets 20, then the headliner gets 45. Sometimes they'll have a guest spot, sometimes not. So they make it clear they don't want people doing the same kind of thing. So the headliner, because then that's going to ruin the headliner set. In a roast, by the very nature, you're all talking about the same thing, the same fucking people on the dais and the guy you're roasting, right? So for that reason, you want to be early because then you get first crack at all the jokes. Yeah. You're going to, if there's anything you're going to say about somebody, you're going to be the first one to say that RuPaul's old and that Carson and Ross are faggots and that Michelle Visage is a man. You get the first crack at that. And then everybody else who comes after you, if they go there, unless they really knock it out of the park, you've already done it. And that's why at the roast, the person who goes before the end, before the last guy who got roasted, is always a very, very strong person, because that you have to be so fucking good at roasting that all these motherfuckers can go before you and you're still going to crush it. Because at the end of the day, you want to put on a good show. There's a reason I'm bringing this up, though. That's for a professional roast. So in a professional roast, yes, where you're all comedians and you're all in theory very funny, you know, yeah, you're going to fight to be as early as possible, or if you're really good, to be the end. So yes, I've talked about this, right? It is kind of dumb to want to be the last spot. But at the end of the day, none of these people are professional comedians, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're all shit comedians, okay? So everything I'm saying, even though I'm just laughing at them for wanting to go last, it doesn't fucking matter. Because none of you are good.
Yeah.
The lineup has no fucking bearing on this.
Including Susie. Like, I don't know why
Susie.
They're all like, I don't want to go after Susie. I don't want to go after Susie. I'm like, am I being gaslit into thinking that she's fucking hilarious? Like, she's done good in a few challenges, but she's not hilarious.
Look, here's the deal. Let's go back to this professional comedy show I was talking to you about, right? The headliner's never going to bring a middle who is funnier than they are. Because and in fact, it's even seen as bad form if you're a middle, if you're killing it to keep pushing it, right?
Mm.
Your job is not to be funnier than the headliner, okay? But there have been times where, like, again, if you're in a professional comedy situation, I'm saying professional, right? Where a person goes in, like, I'll give you a good example that could happen in real life to an up-and-coming comic. So at the Improv in Hollywood, which was my home club, it was a room that was known for people dropping in on this thing, right? Very, very, very famous people would just drop in. And when now look, as an amateur comic, you know, or an up-and-coming comic, that's the fucking greatest thing ever. Oh, what, fucking Chris Rock's gonna fucking just come on the stage with you, or Dave Cook, or I'm just making up people from that time. But the thing is, if they go in, you know, they're professional, very famous comedians, and and by the way, they do as much time as they want. They'll do a whole fucking 45 minutes, and you have to wait, right? And then they go, and then they've just now exhausted all the laughter out of the audience, and then you have to go there and follow that. It's very difficult. Very, very difficult. It's going to be very difficult to get a laugh because they've laughed so hard that they don't have anything. They need some breathing room, you know? So that's what happened. No one in this, even if no one on this show is so fucking funny that RuPaul's going to have like convulsions in her stomach and can't breathe and has to pee your pants, you know, because they're so hard, they're laughing so hard that you can't follow them. The other thing too, let's even pretend there is someone that funny. They only get like a minute. You can't do all that in a minute.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Everything they're talking about doesn't matter. The lineup, the order doesn't matter. And look, I'll be honest with you, and we'll see it in this thing right here. They're also going to do whatever the fuck they want to you in this thing anyway. We'll talk about it when we get there.
But the thing is, someone like Ariadne, she never considered doing well. Like, she never thought, like, oh, maybe I should crush this. She just gave up. As soon as it was announced that it would be a fucking comedy challenge, she was like, well, I'm done. And that's what was so annoying to watch.
And so, you know, going back to what we talked about, is Lexi and Ariadne can't take personal responsibility.
No.
She felt a certain type of way, Ariadne. She knew she was going to do badly. She knew she was probably going to lip sync for her life, and there's a chance she's going to go home. But instead of saying, I am feeling this way, what are these feelings I'm having? How do we deal with this? She doesn't know how to process those feelings. And so she had the ego is like, doot, 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 looking for a target. Somebody was going to fuck up. And I'm gonna give you a good example of somebody who's like this that you would never think. Latrice Royale. Latrice Royale is exactly the same way. Now, season 4 Snatch Game, you know, we didn't see anything. There was a lot of romper room fuckery, to quote her. And we're like, oh, maybe she's right. That she didn't do well because they were all fucking around, blah, 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 blah. Right? Like, okay. And we believed it for years.
Yeah.
And then she goes on All Stars 2, or not All Stars 2, but she goes on All Stars again. And she fucking eats shit during the Snatch game.
Yeah.
And she pulls the same shit and blaming everybody else for her doing badly on Snatch Game.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's her thing, right? And this is the same true with Arietti. Somebody was going to do something, right? Somebody was going to do something that she was going to blame her performance on that and her bad behavior on that. She was just looking for an excuse. It was a ticking time bomb. Okay.
Yeah.
And it was just bound to it could have been Jules. It could have been Susie. It could have been whoever. But she needed someone to blame because she can't blame herself.
And Lexi does that too every single time. She does it before the roast. She's like, oh, what's her face? Susie just said something about me not having friends. And so now I'm thinking, oh, maybe I don't have friends. And that's the headspace I'm in when I go into the challenge. It's like, okay, here's your excuse. Great.
You know, it's considered unethical for a therapist to play armchair psychologist with people they see on TV. But I'm not a licensed therapist, so I don't give a shit. But if you think about Arietti and her bulimia, I'm not being funny. Bulimia comes from a place where, if you think about it, I'm not going to say you hate yourself, but you're unhappy with yourself. You're unhappy with your image. You're unhappy with yourself.
Yeah.
So you harm yourself. It's self-harm. In order to look better. I don't know. I'm not a therapist. I don't know anything, but like it is self-harm, and it comes from not happy with who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this thing that I've learned in therapy because I used to suffer from anxiety. And I got this book. I don't remember what the name of the book was. I still have it. But the book was in 2 parts. There was a part 1 and a part 2. And part 1 was for anxiety, but part 2 was for rage.
Oh.
Because anxiety is it's pointed outward. No, I'm sorry. Anxiety is pointed inward. Anxiety is internalized fear. It's fear inside. But rage is taking that fear and turning it out. So you feel afraid and you don't know how to process that fear, and so you externalize it. Anxiety is you feel fear and you internalize it. And so Arietti, this is my armchair psychology here. It appears to me, it seems to me based on the edit that we saw, that Arietti in this episode was disappointed with herself, and she turned that self-disappointment outward.
Mm.
And I would say in her younger years, this is just guessing, with the bulimia, so we're seeing, remember, we never dealt with it. We never dealt with the issue. She had this disappointment in herself for eating too many churros and turned it inward. Okay? So when she says she did drag, all she did was take the whatever horrible emotion she had that was turning inward and turn it outward. And the reason I'm going to say this is there's a Reddit post or comment somewhere. We all know Reddit's always the last bastion of truth and freedom.
Mm-hmm.
But on Reddit, someone said, oh, this episode explains why everyone at her home bar was rooting against her.
Oh.
Because she's not a nice person. Right? So they said that she had a reputation already in Washington or wherever she's from for not being very kind, not being very nice.
I see that.
So, yeah, drag saved her from bulimia because all it did was, it was a drag. Her doing drag was like, oh, I'm not the problem. They're the problem. And so now so in other words, she still has this rage, but now instead of being internalized, it's externalized. And she's mean to everybody and she turns on them and she's a bitch and she's a cunt and whatever. And that's kind of what we saw.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the writing session.
Yes. The table read?
Yeah. Later on the main stage, the girls meet with Michelle Visage and Whitney Cummings to workshop their roast jokes. As payback for her placement in the lineup, Arietti expresses her plan to steal some of Jules' jokes. It's elimination, which, by the way, well, I'll comment when we do that. It's elimination day and the girls get ready for the roast. Lydia reveals she stayed up all night working on her roast. Jules senses tension with Arietti and attempts to diffuse it, but her entreaties are rebuffed. Meanwhile, Lexi and Arietti convene to reveal they have decided to cut Jules out of their lives. Later, Jules attempts to apologize, but to no avail. Finally, the cast get involved and the situation turns ugly. Let's go to this writing session with this Whitney Cummings.
Yes. I really liked that they were doing a table read, like group setting instead of just like one by one. I thought, oh, this is a fun way to do it. And then like little did I know it would have such story impact as well. But like I thought that was a really good way to do it. I enjoyed that. I don't know about this Whitney Cummings, but no, she was all right.
Well, I'm sure there's a little bit of regret on Wow's part because Whitney Cummings has since, I don't know if she's officially announced this, but come on at least very MAGA adjacent.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so here's the thing. When Lori and I were doing comedy in Los Angeles, Whitney Cummings and moved around in the same circles as me and Lori. Here's what's really weird. I've never met Whitney Cummings. I've never seen her in person. But she and I have been on many of the same shows. It's like a fucking riddle. It would often be that she would get there late and I would leave early, or vice versa.
Okay. Yeah.
So we were always in the same show but never seen each other.
She was Whitney Cummings and you were Goings.
My God. I kind of applaud that. She also defended someone else who I used to move in the same circles with, which was this Chris D'Elia. I don't remember him.
Oh, yeah. I know that name.
And I guess she defended him. Again, moved in the same circles. In fact, I'm sure my friends Melissa McQueen and Patrick Keane are good friends with her, know her. I don't think they have a feeling on her at all. But she moved in the same circles. I just never knew her.
Yeah.
Somebody I know went on a date with her. Like, again, it's weird that I've never met her, but
what about Lori? Has Lori had run-ins with her?
I don't know. Lori might have met her. I know she came under fire during the fires recently too, because she went and made a video and she was like weeping because I don't know if it wasn't even her house. It was some like little podcast studio shack she'd built was maybe going to get burned up. It might have gotten burned up. I'm not sure, but she's crying. Everyone's like, bitch, it's your little podcast studio. Like, calm down.
Yeah.
Right. But I think there's a little bit of buyer's remorse with it, but they just didn't mention it. And what are they going to do? They filmed it in the summer. Any other thoughts on this writing session?
Well, on that, yeah, she didn't pop into Untucked. I don't know if that was just because
Well,
Untucked
she
was
might
like
have, but
good
there was
on
just
its own, but or they just didn't show it.
Yeah, they might not have just shown it. I don't see why they wouldn't have done it. I think they just were like, there's too much stuff here. We have to just do this. I always love when Michelle Visage steps out of her lane, and I love her giving roast advice. And she has Whitney Cummings there. Like, the one thing I'll say about Whitney Cummings, I don't know her. I don't know if I'm a fan of her or not. The bitch has done a lot of roasts and done well. Yeah. So, like, she knows of what she speaks. I'll give her that. And so I love Michelle Visage going like, yeah, and also this.
Well, the only thing Michelle has got is that she's seen, so many bad drag roasts. So she can only talk from that perspective.
I love how Lana at one point says to Whitney that she loves to showcase her looks and her silliness. Thank God Michelle called her on it. I was like, what fucking silliness? What are you talking about?
I've never seen silly.
When has Lana Jarre ever been fucking intentionally silly? Don't get me wrong. She's been silly week after fucking week.
Maybe in that cave woman sketch where she had big boobs.
And all she did was just Lana Jarre walking down the thing.
Yeah, that was so silly.
Yeah, she was very silly. And then let's talk about Arietti saying she's going to steal Jules' jokes.
The cream of the crop of jokes.
Well, that's when you show she's really pissed at her because you're like, you're going to steal Jules' jokes? Those are
the thing.
Yeah.
She did it to throw her off. And what was crazy for me is that, like, yeah, you might have that intention in the moment, right? But like when they film confessionals, that's at least a few hours later. Like it could be the next day, it could be later that day. Like I don't really know, but like you're still in that headspace, and she's smug and she's smiling and she thinks she's so fucking hilarious, and she's calling it karma, coming to get Jules, and it's like there is no remorse there. There is no second thought that what she's doing is fucked up, and that's what's crazy to me.
So here's a weird thing: is look. There's no way a sane person would, because here's the thing. One of the things we've accused not only this cast, but as of late casts, is being hyper aware of the show after it, that they almost think about almost exclusively about fan reaction to things, and they let it dictate how they behave. And so they're often very careful and very overly careful, and they don't want to offend anybody or anything. And it's weird to me that Ariette, who, say what you will about her, is very aware of her image, would be like, I'm going to do this, and people are going to be, yes, queen, we're glad you did this. Like, in what universe? To me, that shows me she just went off the fucking deep end.
Yeah.
Because in one universe, you think this is going to play well on TV, that people are going to be like, oh, I'm so glad she did this. But on the other hand, Ariette is giving me that thing that Robert and I have talked about ad nauseum, is that old school, like we said, like, you know, the people who did drag, they did it because that's all they could do was do drag. Now, Ariette, I think, was one of the people thought it was a career choice, but that is some old school drag type of shit. I'm not gonna lie.
I just think it was just such a meltdown. I don't even think she was thinking clearly.
I don't think, no, of course she wasn't thinking clearly, but that's what I'm saying is the drag queen, the old school drag queens don't think clearly. Do you think that this woman from pageant or whatever that is, the your makeup is terrible, do you think she was thinking?
No.
Crystal LaBeija is her name.
Yeah.
You think Crystal LaBeija was like, ugh, I'm thinking here. No, she's an old school drag queen, and that's what the shit that they do. You know? Okay. What about Elimination Day? Did we talk about this already?
No, so this is where Ariette packs up her station, and I was like, oh, she needs to grow the fuck up. And this is when I was really starting to feel bad for Jules.
Yeah.
Like, and like on top of that, so like Ariette doing that, like they're friends. So like that would hurt Jules on like a personal like friendship level.
Yeah.
And then to have like Lexi 3 chairs down talking about how much of a cunt Jules is for some reason, it would tip me over the edge. So I don't know how Jules has like the decorum to just sit there and do her thing and put her own makeup on. Like that was mind blowing. And I really appreciated seeing like Anya had moved and sat next to Jules. Like they don't really show it, but at one point she's just all of a sudden sitting next to Jules. And I was like, Anya's a good girl. Like that's your sister.
I wanted to steal something, but you know,
not a jokes.
Yeah, look, Anya didn't steal any jokes. You know what's so funny is I saw somebody on Twitter, there must be an Anya stan, who was like, where are the people getting mad at Ariette for stealing the jokes the way Anya stole these things? I'm like, girl, they are just as, if not more, upset.
We're furious.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Everyone's upset about this. It's not. This is not the serve that you think it is.
Yeah.
So, you know, all I have in my notes are just repeats of things we talked about. Is what? People are really upset about the lineup. Just be funny. Just be good. We've discussed this. Lexi, girl, you asked for the last position. Lexi's a horrible person is what I wrote. Yes, we talked this. Let's talk about Susie Toot. Susie Toot actually articulates what I said as well. Susie Toot even says, where you place in the roast doesn't matter that much. At a professional roast, it's more important, even though I've said, okay, I already discussed that. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, Lexi actually says she punished me for asking to go last. And it's like, in what world are you that important that Jules Sparkles, of all people, is punishing you, Lexi Love, for just asking to go last, which was a normal request, because Jules said, hey, where do you guys want to go? Like, why would she? In what world does that make sense, Lexi Love?
Well, look, here's the deal. Here, Jules has never articulated her logic, but I can tell you what it is. Lexi wants last? Great. I'm going to give her what she wants. Nobody wants to follow Susie? Great. Where can I put her? Right before Lexi, because Lexi wants to go last.
Yep.
The end.
Right?
Yeah.
Ugh. And then
they were also mattering, so what? I'm sure you put yourself in a good position because you made the lineup. I'm like,
yes.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
what
making
everyone
the lineup.
does
I'm going
every
to put
year.
exactly where I want to go first. The first position will be the one I want. 100%.
Ugh. And yeah, we've sort of already touched on this, but the way Arietti's like, I would never do that to you. After Jules apologizes to her, right? Like, Jules is clearing the air. Arietti's like, well, I would just never do that to you, like, as a friend. And it's like, but you would then go and steal her jokes and throw her and screw her over on the main stage. Like, why is that something you would do, but you would never put yourself, like, after her in a fucking roast lineup? Like, what?
I'm not even being funny. Arietti is a sick person. And I'm not being funny. I'm not being funny. She should really seek some mental health help. You know the way this Mistress Isabel Brooks somehow lost her entire body weight in the few months since this
What are you
episode
saying
aired?
somehow?
Well, I mean, I don't know if Ozempic works that fast because they filmed this like in August and she's a big fat pig and now she's thin. It's March and she's thin. Dude, you fucking worked really fast on her. Shit. So, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, poor Susie, always catching strays. Like, Susie just says one thing and Arietti's like, it's not about you. Let a bitch be mad. Shut the fuck up, Susie, dude. And Susie's just always at that mirror just trying to do her makeup and just everyone's always mad at her. It's kind of camp.
Yeah, well, because it's a whole thing you could do. All right, let's go to this Maxi Challenge presentation for the Villains Roast. Let's go one by one, but why don't we keep it short? Because we've really discussed it to death.
Well, are you happy with the 3 villains they included? No thoughts?
It's fine.
It's fine. They all looked good.
Yeah.
And they were funny. They were funnier than the roasties.
Oh,
the
Mistress
roasters.
Isabel Brooks had the funniest. I wrote it. Let me see on the random.
Go learn the music, baby.
Best joke of the night.
So
Best
good.
joke of the fucking night.
All right, let's blitz through
All right,
it.
on your nerve.
I thought she was a pretty good start. Again, she's always so confident that it carries her through, even when what she's saying wasn't exactly like super clever or hilarious or top worthy. I thought she was still good.
Yeah. I put good enough to be safe, but not super good. Yeah, sure. Arietti.
She bombed with both the jokes that she wrote and the ones she stole.
Yeah, really, really
terrible.
Bad. It was very, very bad. Jules Sparkles.
Yeah, I mean, what she had, like the fat jokes, weren't good. But you could tell she was thrown. So, yeah, it wasn't great.
Yeah, I wrote, this was not good. And I go, these are the jokes Arietti stole. Oh, okay. So now we're coming to something here. God, I'm going to get on my little fucking conspiracy tinfoil hat here. So my conspiracy isn't totally unfounded. They have done this before. Contestants have talked about it before. I kind of remember who it was, but I don't want to say because I could be wrong. But in previous roasts, they have brought in writers who help some of the girls.
Someone helped Coco Montrese.
I'm not going to get into who it was, but I've heard about this happening. Okay. And I feel I'm gonna speak there. I feel this about a couple of people. And I'm not going to get into all of them, but I will say I feel the strongest about Lana Jarre.
Mm-hmm.
Because Lana Jarre doesn't have one funny fucking bone in her body. And we have seen this time after time after time on this show. A season that's been nothing but performance and design challenges. And now all of a sudden she has a kind of decent set.
Yeah.
It's something's rotten in Denmark. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought
It
she
was
was
a good
great.
set, but this seems not her.
Well, some of the jokes were a bit cliched, like the candy is so dumb, period.
That's what I'm
like I
talking
never
about.
find the period thing funny.
Yeah, that's what I'm
But
saying.
other than that, she was way better than expected. Yeah.
Yeah, something smells rotten. I'm just gonna say.
Okay.
Sam is a tricky one. He was good. We didn't see a lot of Sam. It was a very short set, which makes me think it was kind of uneven. So they just picked the good ones and that was it.
I kind of thought there might have been good stuff that they cut just to make it look like she wasn't the clear winner.
Oh, that could be it too. There was a reason why she got a very, very, very short set that we saw.
Yeah, but what we did say was good.
Lydia, I'm on the fence about with my conspiracy theory. They were really good.
Yeah.
But I don't know because I haven't seen Lydia be unfunny, but I've never seen her be funny. But she'll have some good quips here and there. And the reason I don't know. I'm 50-50 on Lydia.
Well, she was unfunny in what was scripted for her, right? And like that horrible Golden Girls thing. And then in the Snatch game, I just don't know if maybe like David Lynch was the role for her.
That's right.
But you could tell that maybe it could have been funny in a different medium. So I think maybe she is funny. Like what I liked about her was that like her fat jokes weren't just fat jokes. She was like, I'm your biggest fan is what you'd say if you were dressed as a fan. Like that is such a fucking obscure, like clever way to do that it's not terrible.
This is what I'll say. This is what I will say. This is what I'm going to temper my conspiracy theory. Okay. From experience. So years and years ago at one of the Pride 48 conventions, we did a roast of a podcaster named Joey Buhecker.
Mm-hmm.
And the people they had on the dais, I was not on the dais by choice. The people they had on the dais, most of them weren't comedians. And they were very scared. And they had a choice. We set it up in such a way that I would write, if you wanted to, I would write your set, or I would look over and work with you with what you had. And I spent a day in a hotel room, workshopping with each of the people on the dais, what their jokes were being. Some of them I just wrote, like Adam Burns, I wrote his entire set. Taffy from Pod is my co-pilot, Taylor's co-host, I wrote everything that she wrote. A couple people, right? And some people wrote their stuff and they didn't want to run it by me. They just want to do it themselves. Taylor wrote his own stuff, but he wanted to run it by me to finesse it. And Joey Buhecker wanted to write with me, and then he stormed out after like 20 minutes. Okay. And I had different experiences with all of them. There were some people who I wrote for them and then they changed what I wrote. There were some people who were like, I'm not going to say that. And they didn't, There were some people like, no, I'm happy with what I got. Like I told you, there are people, they didn't want to run it by me. They just want to do their stuff. And then there were some people who read it exactly as they wrote. And so it could be that they all worked with a writer. And some of them, but that would be weird because wouldn't Arietti be like, oh, thank God, I'm just going to read what this person wrote, right?
But she would never have been able to make it funny.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, because the accusation has been leveled in the past at there was a roast in particular. I wonder if it was for an All-Stars where some of the queens got to work with a writer and some of them didn't. It was very, very strange. But how many of these were like, they worked with a writer and they're like, nah, I'm good with what I have. I don't know. I'm telling you, there's something wrong. There's more to what we're seeing. And I don't quite know what it is.
Okay.
Look, and to think, well, why would they do that? Let me just tell you guys this. This is not a big secret that I'm telling you. When they do, anytime there is a choreographed dance, they always they split the episode. So the first part is on on the cruise Friday, their last day of the work week. And then the second part of the episode is on their Monday. And there's a weekend in between. And what they do is they use that weekend to practice and choreograph the dances. So what often happens is you see on the Friday of the crew, them filming the girls choreographing their own shit. But they're not choreographers, right? So on the weekend, they bring in choreographers who come in and finesse what they've done or give them a whole new thing. You ever notice it never looks like what they started with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they practice it through the weekend. This is shit that they've done for years. So it would make sense that they bring in a writer to like, okay, let me look. But I don't know how it worked and why they did and who got to do it. Because it would seem the only thing that busts that bubble is you would think that Jules and Arietti would have run it by a writer.
But maybe that's just what they did with Whitney Cummings.
No, there was more than that. I mean, that was like, I don't know. There's something up. The Lana one is the one that really throws me. I'm really just not. Look, here's my deal with Sam. I'm going to take Sam as an example. Sam is type A. Okay. I'm sure Sam came in, he knew there was going to be a roast, and he came in with a pre-written set of jokes. And he was very prepared. And then what he did was then he took that pre-written set and he tailored it, he tinkered with it, and he soldiered with it and spied with it. Okay. And he maybe a lot of jokes changed, maybe jokes left, jokes came in, blah, 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 but he did that, right? I don't know. But what I want to get to was, let's go to Susie. What do you think of Susie?
I think she would have benefited from smaller expectations. Like I liked the Raven joke about beating a dead horse, but other than that, it was pretty stock standard.
So this is what I think. Yeah, I have standard here too. I think that the editors did Susie and Lexi dirty. Susie's jokes weren't that bad, but they didn't sweeten the laughs as much as they did with the other ones. And so it made it sound like she was kind of dying, you know? But the jokes were fine, and I'm sure everyone got the same amount of laughs, right? Lexi's jokes weren't that bad. She also made an amateur mistake, which is funny because then Michelle goes in the critique to praise her for something you should never do. Okay? If you're bombing, you don't then talk about how you're bombing. That is like stand-up comedy. If you want to see an amateur between an amateur and a pro, is the way they handle bombing. Right? Yeah. And what Lexi showed, you could see that at every open mic. You can go to the Ha Ha Cafe on Nikersham in North Hollywood, and you would see exactly what Lexi Love was doing on that stage, and it is not good.
It was the same thing she got for Snatch Game. This fake critique where it's like, oh, you were so bad that it ended up being funny. And it's like, no, she was dreadful.
No.
And I think she would have bombed no matter who she came after.
But in this case, I actually think she sabotaged. There was an outer saboteur. It was herself in that her jokes weren't that bad. If she would have just powered through, they weren't that bad. You know?
She's just useless.
All right. Let's go on now to the runway. Like I said before, I don't have time. We're already running really long. But I don't have time I didn't have time to listen to Blackstone's critiques. I don't know what I hope he didn't be saying anything racist. I talked to him.
Okay. Yeah.
I was going to fire him, but he reminded me I had a contract.
Oh, you didn't sign a contract with him.
Oh, I got a contract.
I don't even have a contract.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why when I gave him the contract, he was like, oh, a lot. Like Beluga, Shaluga, or whatever, the Supreme Kings of the Caspian Sea. And I was like, what am I signing? And he was, now sign. All right, here we go. So the first one is Lana Jarre. I will tell you this. I'm going to pay Blackstone a compliment. Because I wanted the option to not use his shit if he gets racist. I asked him to send me his notes.
Oh, good.
They're pretty good fucking notes.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was surprised at how good his notes are, but I'm only going to use them if I need to use them. But he has good notes. All right, here we go. First up, Lana Del Rey.
Well, isn't this just marvelous? Lana presents a recreation of a 2003 D-squared look featuring a plunging white halter top, tiny brown leather shorts, and an oversized distressed coat with a dramatic train.
So far, okay.
A deconstruction of fashion norms, a daring reinterpretation of early 2000s glamour. So fresh, so modern.
It's starting to sound sarcastic.
Yeah.
And that hat, well, right color, wrong slogan.
There it is.
Who am I to judge?
But I mean, look.
He is the fashion judge.
That's one, yeah. And also, look, he didn't say anything racist. And I think with Lana, he's been particularly harsh. But it does seem like it's dripping with sarcasm.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Do you have any thoughts on Lana Del Rey's look?
It was pretty boring.
Yeah, she's pretty. I mean, like, oh, look, I directly copied this look.
She's so silly.
Yeah, silly. All right, next we have Sam Starr. Oh, well, we know how he loves his Sam Starr.
Oh, finally, a look that speaks to the grandeur of fashion. Sam has yet again flawlessly executed a vision that is both bold and timeless. She's wearing a black and red American football-inspired...
What does the American have to do with it?
He really hit that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Ensemble with exaggerated shoulder pads, lace-up detailing, and star motifs, all finished with a towering sculptural ponytail. The precision, the craftsmanship, the sheer commitment. It just warms my heart. Truly, an absolute triumph of the will.
Okay.
To win.
All right, I get it because Triumph of the Will is the name of this Nazi movie. I didn't look. This is ridiculous. But again,
he's overpraising it.
Yeah. What do you think of this Sam Starr look?
Yeah, it was all right. Wasn't a triumph.
Yeah, well, I think he was trying to sneak something in there. All right, let's go to Lydia B. Collins.
You seem to know a lot about Nazi materials, Joe.
Look, I just wanted to say I know a lot about the Nazis.
You pick up on all the Nazi references, which is a little okay. All right.
All right, well.
Oh, how fascinating.
This already sounds different from Sam Starr's.
Lydia arrives in a grotesque, horror-inspired look with a structured bodice that mimics exposed muscle tissue, tattered red and white fabric trailing from the arms and waist, and a disheveled blonde updo. A textural exploration that is so thought-provoking and definitely not disturbing in the slightest.
I'm saying this is very passive-aggressive. Am I wrong here? Am I reading too much into this?
Yeah.
I'm reading too much into it?
No. It's very passive-aggressive.
The bold use of organic forms, the unexpected fabric choices, it's just so brave. And really, who wouldn't say that Lydia is not brave? Look at what kind of people she dates.
There it is.
Okay, there it is. But I mean... But he didn't say because Corey is black. But we know
we know.
He's hinted at it in the past. All right. Any thoughts on Lydia?
I didn't really like it. I didn't really get that it was shorts or skin. I was confused.
Yeah. But RuPaul liked it as kind of club kid, so.
Yeah.
Oh, I simply must commend Lexi for her daring approach to denim. She's serving shredded, deconstructed jean fabric sculpted into a barely there set of short shorts, a matching distressed top, and long strips of denim cascading into a chaotic train. Such a fearless use of fabric distressing, because after all, who needs structure when you have passion?
I'm trying to get a sense of what he's talking about.
Tensionality behind every shredded edge is just so apparent. And I absolutely wouldn't call it chaotic. Not at all.
I kind of get the feeling that he's mad at you for giving him notes.
Yeah.
And now he's just, really
well, look, I told him, I said, listen, a guy from Germany said you were too over the top.
But he's right. I mean, Lexi still looks like she's on meth. It was terrible.
All right. Jewel Sparkles.
Oh, this is just so enchanting. Jules wears...
He sounds pissed.
He's pissed.
A voluminous metallic gold top with exaggerated puff sleeves, a structured corset with a high-cut silhouette, black lace trim shorts, and thigh-high stockings with garter straps. The voluminous sleeves, the historical references, why, it's practically a love letter to something.
What?
The color story, the unique proportions. Yes, it's all just splendid, isn't it? Oh, is she doing Maria Antoinette? I didn't.
Are you calling Maria Antoinette?
No. And I, for one, have never seen that before.
Okay, Michelle Visage.
He's mad at you.
Yeah.
He is mad.
Guys, if you like Mr. Blackstone, could you... But I don't want any more of the race stuff. That's the thing,
he's too volatile. Let's get Christian on to do the looks instead.
Yeah. What did you think of Jules?
I thought it was fine, and I didn't get Marie Antoinette. I think Michelle needs to fucking relax. She needs to chill her nips with that one because, just because it's in that older style doesn't mean it's Maria Antoinette. Maria Antoinette. It's a hard name to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, get over yourself, Michelle.
Well, goodness gracious, what an exquisite display of restraint and subtlety.
I don't think he's being sincere. This is Arietti, by the way.
Arietti is draped in opulent gold with structured short shorts, an elaborate royal cape lined in red and white fur, massive sculptural shoulders, and a towering golden crown adorned with a cross. A humble take on regal opulence where nothing at all feels excessive or overwrought.
I feel like I can hear the air quotes.
She's just a living Virgen de Guadalupe. The ballads.
I don't even know what that means.
The grace, the absolute modesty of it all. What a joy it must have been to create such a measured look. Truly, I have no further thoughts whatsoever.
Well, now Blackstone's mad at me.
He remembers he's talking about drag queens, right? It seems like he only wants modest and subtle looks now.
It feels like he wouldn't even care this episode, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, he phoned that in.
He phoned that in. He phoned it in.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. Well, good, because we have a lot. We have to go through this. All right, back on the... let's bring back my girls. Hold on. Let me see here. All right, back on the main stage, Lydia B. Collins is named the winner of the challenge, while Arietti and Jewel Sparkles are in the bottom two, forcing them to face off in a lip-sync battle for their lives. The song, Yeah, Yeah, by Beyonce. In the end, Jules lived to see another day, while Arietti was asked to sashay away. Nathan Patrick Brown, any final thoughts on the episode?
Yes, I think Jules has so much strength for not throwing Arietti under the bus in that moment on the main stage. I do not know why she didn't say that a bitch stole her jokes, and to just cop the critiques and be like, yep, and then lip sync. I was like, wow, she's a better friend than I could ever be in that moment. So good for her. And also Arietti's mirror message. Did you catch that?
Yeah, I saw it where she made fun of Anya's teeth.
Yeah, what the fuck? She's like, brush your teeth. Like, she just went full villain Joker doo-doo mess.
Yeah.
It was a terrible look. I don't know how Anya's going to receive that next week, but I'm excited to see it. But yeah, I just don't know why you'd use that opportunity, your final like word for this season, to be clocking someone else's breath. Like, it's just fucking weird.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm dying to see the interview with her. Did you read it? What's a packing?
I don't know. I never watched them. I'm not actually that interested in what they packed.
Yeah. Any other final thoughts?
Nope.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Drag Race Recap. Be sure to join us next weekend, every week, as we continue to discuss, dissect, and deconstruct each brand new episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 17. So for Nathan Patrick Brown and myself,
sashay away until next week.
Thank you for listening to Drag Race Recap. Have something to say? Leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/afterthoughtmedia. You can also email us at dragracerecap@afterthought.media. For more Drag Race and LGBTQ+ content, support us over at patreon.com/afterthoughtmedia. This podcast was produced by Luke Stamen. You can follow Nathan Brown over on Instagram at NathanBrown90. Follow Joe Batance on Instagram at Joe Batance. Special thanks to these expensive tier Patreon supporters: April Pacheco, Astute Girl, Brad Coley, Derek Byers, Doofus Maximus, E. Smith, Effie Wop, Emma, Phil Skit Pony, Blind Suki, Humble Pie, J. Thomas Plank, Kathy Zender, Katie Whitmire, Lauren Eckert, Lucy Carrasco, Luke Stamen, Mary S., Mike Yeager, Nikki Baker, Nikki Pettit, Polly, Poppy Woods, Ricardo Herrera, Runner Brandon, Sarah Yu, Tom Bombs, Travi Cosmos, and Troy Anderson. Drag Race Recap is an Afterthought Media podcast.